The implementation of House Bill 1775, signed into law by Governor Kevin Stitt in May, prohibits public schools and universities from teaching in part that, quote, one race or sex is inherently superior to another. On Monday, the Oklahoma State Board of Education took up that matter as proponents of the new law pushed to have it enacted and ready for the upcoming school year. Rory Taylor reports that those opposed to the law are pushing back.
Everyone else's experiences matter, except for my life. Why is my life political?
When Governor Stitt signed House Bill 1775 into law, it became the job of the state school board to decide how that law would be implemented and enforced.
Emergency rules are immediately in effect once the governor signs those. They are different than the traditional regular rule promulgation, which requires public comment. In this case, some of the legislators that were a part of writing that bill made their desire known.
Rather than specifically naming and banning critical race theory, the law forbids a number of specified tenets.
Every single one of us, everyone at this table, everyone that is in this room has a worldview. So through whose lens do we teach it?
In public comment, Safira Lloyd, an Oklahoma City student, cautioned that the teachings being prohibited represent a misunderstanding of what critical race theory entails.
May I ask you what critical race theory is to you? I feel as though we should be able to discuss critical topics of history, no matter how ugly they may be, and teach kids how to handle having hard conversations. If we are to move on or elevate to success and togetherness, wouldn't you want to teach our dark history so we wouldn't repeat those mistakes and actually heal as a country?
Lloyd says that CRT is a matter of looking at history and examining what systems were established that still impact our modern world, rather than the banned idea that an individual is inherently racist. This argument is actually backed by the one vote against the new rules from the state board, Carlisha Bradley.
The correlation between critical race theory and actually what is written in the bill is contradictory. I mean, critical race theory speaks about the examination of laws and the ways in which laws are implemented to uphold systems of racism. And so when we're having this conversation, I felt that A, it was important to explain what critical race theory is, and B, to highlight the fact that this was a rushed process.
While board member Bradley argues that no one is teaching inherent individual racism in the first place, the emergency rules were supported by most in attendance.
Superintendent Hoffmeister and honorable members of the board, you have a moral obligation and a professional duty to support, endorse, and enforce House Bill 1775 and to disallow, deny, and destroy any semblance of critical race theory in Oklahoma public education.
In teaching about past injustice in our country, the answer should not be to teach injustice toward current students. Please adopt emergency rules that protect students, families, and taxpayers from teachers and districts who have adopted the misguided approach of teaching the tenets of critical race theory.
The new rules lay out the process for enforcement as well. Parents have a protected right under the rule to inspect curriculum, and students, parents, or school staff can file complaints to the school in question or directly to the State Department of Education for investigation. Penalties for violations can include reducing or removing accreditation for schools and districts and suspension or revocation of a teacher's license. All that falling in line with demands from those who want more parental oversight in the classroom.
Parents have limited resources in raising families. They should not have to go to court to get judicial protection for their children who just want to learn academic subjects to prepare themselves for successful lives.
We as parents and grandparents urge you to allow access to all materials used in the classroom instruction and those materials used to train teachers as well. Our children are our most precious commodity, and we have the right to know what is being presented to them in the classrooms.
The Oklahoma City Board of Education unanimously disavowed the new law, with board member Ruth Veals saying the law functions in order to protect white fragility. Tulsa Public Schools has issued a statement that the current curriculum is not in violation of these new laws. The Oklahoma Education Association issued a statement saying, "We believe this should clear up some confusion and gives Oklahoma's educators the confidence to continue teaching as they have been since the standards were adopted." State Superintendent Joy Hoffmeister, who also chairs the OETA board, voted in favor of the rules, but warned that the process lacked transparency. with the emergency policy being made public only minutes before it was discussed and voted on.
These are emergency rules. That means they are temporary. And there is certainly a lot of questions that I am concerned. Teachers are feeling a lot of fear. We want to continue to focus back on this.
New rules for compliance with the law will be drafted with more public input and approved in the fall. Rory Taylor, The Oklahoma News Report.
And as Rory reported, proponents say the bill bans the teaching of critical race theory, while opponents argue it's a non-issue because Oklahoma kids aren't being taught so-called CRT. Stay with us. Coming up, an in-depth discussion featuring voices from both sides of the issue. At Monday's meeting, the school board also voted to intervene in the Western Heights School District, effectively taking over for Superintendent Mannix Barnes. He's been replaced on an interim basis by Monty Guthrie. The Southwest Oklahoma City School District is on probation due to alleged mismanagement by Barnes, who also had his certification suspended by the state board recently. The Western Heights School District is suing the state school board for suspending Barnes and putting the district on probation.